wonderful, fantastic, lurid, macabre. These are the stories of my life. Unlikely though they might seem, it must be understood that each has its roots in absolute truth. Some of these tales may amaze you. Some may shock you. Some might even horrify you. But whatever the case might be, each is guaranteed to entertain. So sit down to a handsome repast and remember to proceed with caution. Hello there, and welcome to yet another snack and a story with yours truly. I am recording this on the day that it should be up once again. That would be Friday the 7th, no not 7th, the 9th of July of 2021. My apologies for the lateness of this upload. I might even post it Saturday. I don't know, we'll see. But through all my years of doing this snack and story series, it had occurred to me that through the entirety of its run, I had never on this program eaten chips or crisps of any kind. Now, you could say that I had Cheez-Its or some or another type of snack food of that sort, but just general, like, crisps or chips, I've not had. And these here are kettle chips of the jalapeno and cheese variety, or maybe just jalapeno variety, and they're one of my favorites. So I'm going to go ahead and eat these, and we'll regale you with yet another story that you've not yet heard. I'm actually, as I said, I'm running out of stories to tell, so this will be one of the last for a while, until I do eventually have a break from YouTube. So I suppose all there's left to do is just for you to sit back, perhaps get yourself something to eat, so that you might be able to eat with me. I suppose maybe some a drink or something, so you could perhaps quench your thirst. Put this in my mouth. Not that way, you perverts. And let's begin. So this will be a quick one, because I don't know if I'll have time to upload it today. But this will be a quick story, to say the least. So, it's not terribly often that I bring you a story about the unknown. Usually most of the stories that I tell on here are fairly innocuous and mundane in nature. Such is the journey we call life. Or eternal salvation, whichever you prefer. But as the old adage goes, truth is often stranger than fiction. And as H.P. Lovecraft once said, the oldest and strongest emotion of mankind is fear, and the oldest and strongest fear of mankind is the fear of the unknown. And so, it is with that I bring you this story. So about 6 or 7 years ago, the house that was next to ours had remained vacant for a considerable time because our neighbor used to be very great friends with us, and he had since passed away. And so basically the house had lied dormant for a few years until people could decide what to do with it. In fact, I remember that this particular neighbor, his granddaughter used to come over all the time, and her and I were on the best of terms. We were like best friends, I suppose you could say. I got on well with her, more so than any of my past friends. I haven't spoken with her in years. I'd like to see how she's faring and such, and perhaps maybe would like to reconnect. So, who knows? But anyhow, this house has laid vacant for a good many years. And it has not been sold until very recently, until about, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And I remember too that we had a rummage sale over at that house because my mother was running a business and such, and thought, there's an empty house there, let's put all of our stock right there. And the stock that we couldn't necessarily sell, when one of our locations had closed up, we had to auction off at a rummage sale. Parcel off, rather, at a rummage sale. And so we had that one of those years. And this, as I said, this house remained vacant and desolate for a good at least 3 years, until somebody had bought it. And in the days of its desolation, I was very prone to going downstairs so that I might be able to clear my head. This downstairs area being perpendicular or parallel to the house itself. And one day when I was trying to get my head straight and such, and wanting to go downstairs and such, just to take my mind off things, I had heard something rather peculiar from across the way. And what I perceived this to be was a cough coming from the direction of the house. And so I had naturally decided to investigate. And so I went downstairs trying to find the source of this coughing, and it just kept getting louder and louder and louder until I couldn't really wrap my head around it. It was just pervasive. And I couldn't wrap my head around the fact, A, of the source of this cough, and B, why it was occurring. So it was indeed a very mysterious affair. And as soon as I tried to get near the property to check to see if anybody was there, the coughing had stopped, and there was no one in sight. Since then, the house has been through at least 2 or 3 hands. One couple in particular staying for about 3 years, I'd say. And they had a very difficult time at the house itself and didn't necessarily like it all that much, and had moved away, I think, shortly after they decided to plant some ficus trees along the border of the precinct. And I'm not entirely sure why this is. But the wife had some apprehensions about, I suppose, the area and such, and really didn't want to stay any longer. And then now, there is another couple living in this house who have renovated it and made it look more modern, I suppose, and really seem to have no problems whatsoever at all with it. So what was the source of the coughing in the yard? I couldn't exactly tell you. I'm not entirely sure if I'll ever know. But I can tell you one thing. The oldest and strongest emotion of mankind is fear. And the oldest and strongest fear is the fear of the unknown. So that's the story. I hope you enjoyed it. Perhaps maybe it had unnerved you some. It certainly unnerved me just a bit. I hope you enjoyed this story. Tune in next week for yet another Snack and a Story in which I consume something wholly different and regale you with an entirely heterogeneous story. I hope you all have a good evening, morning, midday, afternoon, or midnight, depending on when you see this. And we will see you next time. Cheers.